Have any of you ever had to face a tough decision in terms of which college you wanted to get into? Because obviously this is a very common situation. So if you have, please raise your hand. All right, good. Have any of you been very, very infatuated or madly in love with someone moments after you first met them? Mainly because of the way they look. Okay, that's not good. Raise your hand if you've ever been jealous before of someone because they have something that you strongly desire. Okay, thank you. If the answer is yes to any of these questions, then you will definitely like William Shakespeare. There are 3 reasons as to why he's the most successful playwright in history. His original plays, the emotions of the main characters are very common. For example, in Othello, Iago is very jealous of Othello because he selected Cassio to be his main advocate. Iago believes that he's the one that deserved to be that place instead of Cassio. Therefore, he becomes very tempted to ruin his life. We've all been jealous at least once in our lives, so therefore we can relate to the emotion of Iago. In Romeo and Juliet, Romeo is infatuated with Juliet, and Juliet is in love with Romeo. We've all either been in love, want to be in love, or are currently in love, and therefore we can relate to the emotion of Romeo. In Hamlet, Hamlet is very reluctant as to whether he wants to kill his uncle or not, because he knows that he's a villain in the play. But if he kills his uncle, his mother will be very depressed about that. It is a huge decision that he faces throughout the play, and we've all had to face tough decisions in our life. The main characters in Shakespeare's plays have very unique talents. For example, in Othello, Iago has the unique ability of manipulating Othello to the point where he decides to kill himself. Since we've all been jealous at least once in our lives, we tend to fantasize about having this unique talent in order to ruin that person's life exactly the way Iago does to Othello. In Romeo and Juliet, Romeo literally makes Juliet fall in love with him minutes after they first meet. Most guys tend to fantasize about having this talent, and girls tend to fantasize about that as well to make men fall for them moments after they first meet. In Hamlet, he makes very tough decisions as well. We can relate to what it's like to facing a huge, huge dilemma that's very memorable in our lives. When we watch Shakespeare's plays, it's a form of escapism because we fantasize about having these unique talents in order to satisfy ourselves. There are certain modern Shakespeare films such as O and Romeo and Juliet where the setting is updated. So for example, in Othello, it takes place in the early 1600s and they are lieutenants in Cyprus. But in O, it takes place in the year 2001 and it takes place in an American high school setting. Therefore, this setting is very attractive to us because we've all been in high school before, we've all been athletes. In Romeo and Juliet, it takes place in a very Miami-like setting as opposed to Venice, Italy. So we're all very familiar with that kind of setting, so we're attracted to that as well. Another benefit about modern Shakespeare films is that the language is updated. So in O, the Iago character speaks very similar to the way most white kids speak these days. The way the Othello character speaks is very similar to the way most African Americans speak, using ghetto slang terms and very modern American expressions. There are 2 benefits about this. One is that it causes us to be very attracted to the film because we can relate to the way they speak. Another benefit is that we understand what's going on in the film because, as you all know, it is very challenging for most of us to understand Shakespeare's language. In conclusion, there are 3 reasons as to why Shakespeare is the most talented playwright. The emotions of the characters are very common, so we can all relate to that. It is very common for us to fantasize about having the unique talents that the characters have, and this satisfies ourselves. Since Shakespeare's plays are very relatable and very timeless, modern films have been made and will continue to be made. As a result, we all are somehow connected to Shakespeare's plays, and this is the reason why he will continue to be the most famous playwright in history. Thank you.